Welcome to the deep dive. Okay, so you've given us a fascinating set of sources, all looking at autonomous AI systems, specifically in corporate governance.
That's right. Not just as tools, but really digging into their potential role as actual decision makers.
And the big question we're trying to unpack for you today is AI really about to take a formal seat on the board?
Or is the more significant shift happening, maybe more quietly, inside companies, turning them into these powerful internal digital factories?
It's a great question because the flashy headlines, they suggest one thing, right? Robots in charge.
Exactly. But the operational reality, where the real changes in governance and efficiency are happening, might point somewhere else entirely. We kind of need to look at both.
Okay, so let's set the scene. This isn't just sci-fi speculation. We're talking about things that have already happened, fueled by some pretty bold predictions early on.
Definitely. Back in 2015, there was that World Economic Forum report, the WEF, that got a lot of attention.
Right. The one predicting the first AI system would be on a corporate board by 2026.
Yeah, and as your sources highlight, that prediction was, well, almost immediately out of date.
How so?
Because just the year before that WEF report, in 2014, a Hong Kong VC firm, Deep Knowledge Ventures, they appointed an AI called VitalSile, that stands for Validating Investment Tool for Advancing Life Sciences, as an actual voting member on their board.
Wow, okay. A voting number in 2014, that's nearly a decade ago. An algorithm with a board seat?
It sounds futuristic even now, but it was a deliberate move back then, and things just kept escalating, at least in terms of perception.
So Vital was the first, but not the last.
Not at all. By 2016, you had Tieto, a Scandinavian tech company. They appointed an AI named Alicia T.
As what? Another board member?
No, this was different. As a top manager for a whole new business unit.
Okay, that's significant. Why?
Because it was the first AI appointed to a leadership role in a public company, listed on NASDAQ Nordic.
Yeah.
That move gave AI systems a kind of operational legitimacy, beyond just advising.
From advisory to management. And then for sheer headline value.
Ah, you're thinking of Mika.
Exactly. 2023, the Polish beverage company Dictador appoints Mika, a humanoid robot, as CEO.
Yeah, I mean, you go from a board algorithm to a managing AI to a physical robot CEO in less than 10 years. It's quite a progression.
But as you hinted, these appointments, Vital, Alicia T, Mika, maybe they're more about signaling or marketing.
They certainly prove the tech can hold a title, absolutely. But looking past the spectacle, the sources show corporate automation is really advancing along two, perhaps more practical tracks.
Well, sure.
One is automating specific functions, leading to what some researchers are calling fused boards, human boards, heavily reliant on AI input.
Okay.
And the other is creating these massive centralized data hubs, digital command centers or DCCs.
Right, the DCCs. I want to focus there for a minute because that seems like where the real competitive engine might be rather than the fused board.
I think that's fair. The DCC concept implies something much more integrated, like the AI is running the company's entire operational nervous system.
A digital factory idea.
Precisely. It processes all the corporate information. And for a really striking real-world example, we absolutely have to look at ADNOC's Panorama DCC. It went live around 2018.
ADNOC, the Abu Dhabi National Oil Company, right? Massive scale.
Huge. We're talking over $60 billion USD in annual turnover. And Panorama integrates real-time information across, I think, more than a dozen subsidiaries and joint ventures.
So it's not just like adding a new software patch. This is enterprise-wide integration.
It's dissolving silos on a staggering scale. And think about the depth. It's an energy company with vast physical operations.
How does it get the data?
The sources say it's fed by about 10 million sensors across their operations.
10 million.
10 million data points, all feeding this central hub. Panorama then uses AI and analytical models to generate operational recommendations. Things like, optimizing maintenance, spotting inefficiencies.
And the tech behind that, it's not just data collection.
No, it's about processing and securing it. Two key things mentioned are digital twins.
For monitoring the physical assets in real time.
Exactly. And the second, which is maybe more critical for governance, is blockchain technology.
Ah, blockchain. For recording and storing everything.
Yes. And that's the game changer for accountability, isn't it?
Because you get an unchangeable, verifiable log of every input, every AI suggestion, every human action or inaction.
Precisely. Instant, total accountability. It's a practical demonstration of reducing those agency costs we talk about in governance.
The costs of making sure management acts in shareholders' interests.
Right. It boosts transparency, provides real-time data accountability The AI isn't a formal director, but it's acting like the ultimate transparent shadow director.
That efficiency gain is obviously huge, but it immediately throws up some red flags legally and ethically.
Absolutely. If an AI system, whether it's a named entity like Vital or an internal powerhouse like Panorama,
Mhm.
operates at this level,
It has to meet the same standards as human directors, right? Non-discrimination, transparency, accountability.
the bar is high. And that leads straight into the challenge of bias. We demand impartiality, but these systems are fundamentally human creations.
Where's the bias actually come from? It feels like it should be pure math.
Well, researchers break it down into three main stages where errors or biases can creep in: input, training, and programming.
Okay, so input bias.
That's using historical data that itself reflects past discrimination. Garbage in, garbage out, basically.
Training bias.
That's about how the human experts guide the AI's learning, what they tell it is good or bad. Their own biases can get embedded.
And programming bias.
That comes from the fundamental rules and structures that developers build into the system in the first place. The initial architecture can have inherent biases. It's a triple threat.
So how do we manage these risks? What are the main approaches?
The consensus seems to be around three core ideas: transparency, explainability, and accountability.
Transparency is knowing sort of how it works generally.
Right. Explainability is knowing why it made a specific decision. And accountability is having someone clearly responsible for the outcome.
Explainability sounds like the toughest one, the black box problem.
It really is. Especially with complex models like deep learning, even the creators can struggle to trace the exact reasoning for a particular output.
It's that paradox, isn't it? The more effective the AI is at finding complex patterns, the harder it is to understand how it found them.
Precisely. And regulators are grappling with this.
How? What are they doing?
Well, look at the European Union. Their EU AI Act, passed in 2024, tries to tackle this head-on.
By doing what?
By granting EU citizens a right to explanation for decisions made by high-risk AI systems. It puts the legal burden on the developer to make the process understandable.
That's fascinating, but the need for explanations isn't entirely new, is it? Your sources point to older U.S. laws.
Absolutely. Think about U.S. consumer credit law, the Fair Credit Reporting Act of 1970, the Equal Credit Opportunity Act of 1974.
They banned discrimination in lending.
Yes, but crucially, they also required that if someone was denied credit, the lender had to provide a clear explanation.
Okay, and the connection to modern AI.
The argument is that because those explanations had to be simple enough to defend legally, developers of modern credit scoring systems tend to avoid super complex black box algorithms.
Not because the tech isn't capable.
But because they fear they wouldn't be able to provide that legally required simple explanation if challenged.
So the law, written decades ago, is actually constraining the type of AI used today in certain fields.
It's an amazing example of legal frameworks shaping technological adoption. If the law demands an explanation, the tech has to be explainable.
Now, if these governance AIs need to be accountable and explainable, there's a big difference between them and, say, self-driving cars, right?
A fundamental difference in their operating environment, yes.
How so?
Autonomous vehicles deal mainly with the physical world: speed, objects, physics. Corporate governance AI operates in a normative legal environment.
Meaning it deals with laws, ethics, codes of conduct, things like good faith, subjective human concepts.
Exactly. How do you translate subjective human rules into objective metrics an AI can understand? That's the core translation challenge.
So what's the proposed solution?
One idea gaining traction is creating a dedicated operational context for the AI, sometimes called the iBoard concept.
An iBoard, what does that mean practically? Like a separate rule book?
Kind of, yeah. The idea is to create two parallel versions of internal policies and governance codes.
Two versions.
One for humans, using normal language, dealing with judgment, interpretation, the spirit of the law.
Okay.
And a second version specifically for the AI system. This version translates the same governance goals into measurable metrics and indicators the AI can actually process and act upon.
So the human board discusses, say, fiduciary duty conceptually.
While the AI's version of fiduciary duty might be a checklist of quantifiable targets, like ensuring fair statistical risk distribution across different shareholder groups.
Doesn't that risk a disconnect? The AI hitting the targets but missing the spirit.
That's the challenge. It hinges on formalizing the core principles effectively. If the bedrock of governance is, say, fair treatment to all shareholders.
The AI needs a mathematical definition of fairness.
Exactly. And the current thinking focuses on three specific, measurable principles for this iBoard context.
Which are?
1. Informed consent, the system needs to understand the rules and risks it's operating under. 2, non-discrimination algorithms mustn't unfairly privilege any group.
And the third?
Fair statistical distribution of risks. This is crucial. It forces the AI to actively consider and balance how its decisions impact the risk profile of all stakeholder groups.
So if the AI checks those 3 boxes, consent understood, no discrimination detected, risks fairly distributed, then within its iBoard context is considered to be acting fairly.
That's the idea. It's acting fairly according to its defined operational rules, which is the necessary bridge to bring a logical computational entity into a human legal system.
Okay, let's tie this back to our starting point. AI board seats versus the internal digital factory.
Right. We've seen the board seats exist vital, Mika, they grab headlines.
But the real efficiency gains, the transformative power, seems to be in that internal DCC model, like AD&OC's Panorama.
That appears to be the competitive reality right now. And this is where the concept of technological singularity comes in, but maybe in a more economic sense.
Not the runaway superintelligence idea?
No, more the economic feedback loop. The explosion of ever higher levels of intelligence within a company where efficiency gains fund even better systems.
So companies that nail this internal AI governance.
Like the AD&OC model, perhaps.
Yeah.
They become inherently faster, more efficient, better at allocating resources.
And that operational edge gives them the money and data to build even better AI governance systems.
Exactly. It drives this relentless cycle of competitive advantage. So even if formal AI directors are restricted by law, this internal digital factory approach means AI governance is likely to define corporate competition going forward.
That drive for technical efficiency is powerful. But we can't end just talking about efficiency, can we?
No, because technology never operates in isolation. Efficiency is meaningless if it undermines our legal or ethical foundations.
The technical problems are hard, code, and metrics.
But the societal questions about agency, rights, and what it means to grant legal roles or recognition to non-humans, those are even tougher.
And when we start giving legal status or public roles to AI or robots, it inevitably highlights existing inequalities, doesn't it?
Yeah, it throws our current human hierarchies into sharp relief. The case of Sophia the robot is a perfect, if uncomfortable, example.
Granted, citizenship in Saudi Arabia acted as a UN ambassador.
Right, and as Fernandez pointed out in one of your sources, it forces that stark ethical question.
How can a woman-like robot receive more freedoms than women in Saudi Arabia?
Exactly. It's a provocative thought that reminds us the hardest part of AI governance isn't just programming fairness into an algorithm.
It's reconciling the role of that algorithm, that non-human entity, with the complex human culture and legal systems it has to operate within.
A critical point indeed.
And a crucial thought to leave you with: the quest for corporate efficiency through AI cannot and should not ignore the bedrock of human rights and societal values. Thank you for diving deep into this complex territory with us.